In this video, I use my iRacing C-Class license again in week 2 of the Advanced MX-5 Cup Series, this time from the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and all from an older gamer's perspective. And welcome, here we are at week 2 of the Mazda MX-5 Cup Series this week at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. This is a very exciting track. It's very fast, and also in real life I can imagine that it's great for spectating, because the spectating areas are really well placed for you to watch the cars speed by. Even if you was in the cheap seats, I would imagine you'd get a good day out of this. As you can see, there's a little bit of topography here in this Red Bull Ring, a little bit of up and down. It's not very extreme. It's not like some of the other tracks that you can get on iRacing, or in the rest of the world, should we say. It's okay. You can concentrate on the corners and the bends and everything else as you go around. Now, there's not too much excitement in that area. There is this hairpin up here that you have to be careful of. You're coming in downhill, which at the beginning of the race, and you've got a lot of fuel on, can cause a few problems. And you go around here and that's fine. You go wide on that corner, come in on this one, and then you've got another left-hander which takes you downhill again. As I say, it's a little bit of topography, but it's not extreme. It's not going to be something that you're going to absolutely hate. There are no chicanes in this race, which I'm grateful for, because I really do loathe chicanes to the bottom of my soul. And there are, I guess, about 4 or 5 tight right-hand turns and that one hairpin that we saw here. This is just before the starting line, or finishing line, depending on which way you're looking at it. And you come around here. Try not to go off onto that red, otherwise you will get an off track, and away you go. As you can see, this is lap 1 here of my qualification, and I don't actually get a time, and that's because on one of the corners I did manage to put a tyre across and unfortunately didn't qualify. But on the second lap around, I did manage to qualify for a less than stunning 1 minute 54.294. And on this track at the Red Bull in the C-Class Mazda race, 154 is okay. It's middle of the pack type stuff. If you want to be really fast, you've got to be looking at a 151 and 152. And if you want to be a leader, you've got to have a 149 somewhere in your suitcase. I was okay in this particular race. 154 was good enough to put me at the grid at place 9. When you have a track like Red Bull Ring, which not many iRacers own, I suspect, you tend to find that the MX-5 Cup Series doesn't have very many splits. When I raced, there was often 1 or 2 splits. Sometimes, in rare occasions, there were 3 splits. Now, when you look at the rookie races where there's 10 splits, and you look at the D-Class, multi-class races that's got the Maz in it, you'll have maybe 6 or 7 splits. When you come to this MX-5 Cup Series, you find that those splits drop in number drastically. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means the strength of field is effectively going to be much higher, because you're racing against the top drivers, and you're doing that because there's only 1 or 2 splits. If there's only 1 split, you really are in trouble, and sometimes I really was in trouble. In this race there were 2 splits, and I was in the bottom one, which had a strength of field of 1,164, which is pretty strong, but not quite as strong as the first split there. Obviously I wouldn't want it to be in that one. And we get away to a fairly clean start of this race. It's not too many problems, but then the leader, he's up ahead there. He overcooks this corner straight away, the first corner, and spins out. Not only that, but he takes out one of the other cars behind him as well before trying to get back on the track. I've managed to bypass it all reasonably unscathed, and so now I'm in the middle pack here with people coming past me quite quickly. That's because I was taking my foot off the throttle for that accident, just in case somebody did something erratic. And yeah, we're all bunched up now. The cars that are in front of me really were slower than me in qualification, so theoretically I could overtake them. And the cars behind me, yeah, you know, they're smelling blood now. So although they were slower than me in qualification, they really want to be faster than me in the race right now. And even though this is the first lap and everybody's still on cold tyres and should be really taking it a little bit easier perhaps, nobody is, including me, and we're all going for it as much as we can. Now the cars are moving away from me in front there, but that's deliberate. I'm being a bit cautious because I don't want to be right up the backside of somebody if there's going to be a major accident. And as you can see from this corner here, the yellow car is too close to the one in front when he loses control, and as such, when that car re-enters the track, he gets taken out. So it does pay to pick your battles in this opening lap and try and decide, yeah, okay, I don't want the leaders to get too far in front of me, but at the same time, I don't want to be right up somebody's backside if they're going to spin off. Now, there was a slight incident on this corner, even though there's a bump on that corner that people don't normally go over. That blue and red car decided to go over it and impacted my side, giving me a 4X, which was a bit unfortunate. I think he probably shouldn't have dive bombed me on that particular corner, but that was his choice. And I managed throughout this race not to get any more penalties. I didn't get any more off tracks and I didn't get any more impacts. So it was galling to me that he gave me that single impact, and that wasn't really my fault and I couldn't have done anything about it. But that's iRacing for you. And as we get off really into the meat and potatoes effectively of this race, you can see now all three of us are of similar abilities, and we're all really now looking for passing points and also tactical passing points. It can be a mistake to pass somebody too early in the race, and then you're sweating it really as you try and maintain that lead. But at the same time, you've got to be careful that you don't let the cars in front get too far ahead. In this case, I've got a car between me and that third car there of this group, and he's a little bit slow, and that's allowing the car in front to make some distance on me, which, if I can get past this black car in front of me, is possibly going to be difficult to correct, to maintain that acceleration until I can overtake him. So I've got to be careful here. I can either pick my battle and decide not to overtake either of these two cars, or I can try and find a space to get by them. It's a tricky one. It really is. You've got to be careful. If you do an overtake in the wrong place, you could be taken out. And don't forget, there's no fast repair in this C-Class license race. So if you come off the track, you've got a 6-7 minute repair time, and effectively any chance you've got of being anywhere in this race is gone. And you say somebody's sneaking up the inside of me there and getting a good overtake, adding to the complexities of trying to get past these two cars for me. In fact, I've lost some space now because I slowed down just in case there was impact damage going to occur in front of me and that I ended up being taken out by it. Fortunately there wasn't, and this car that is overtaking everybody, I suspect, was one of the cars that got taken out by the leader early on in the race. He is a fast car, and yeah, you see the blue and red one there, totally lost control and he's gone. We do see him again throughout the race, but unfortunately he went off just there, and those two cars in front of me are pulling away, and it's my job now to see if I can catch up with them. Unfortunately, not only was I not able to catch them up, car number 14 caught me up, and he did really well. I made a lot of mistakes on these early laps. As you can see here, we're on lap 4, and I'm still getting sort of average lap times of 1 minute 54, which is pretty poor, and that allowed this car to come past me and do a lovely overtake. Very professional down the inside. He took a bit of a chance on the lump there, but he made it, so, you know, hats off to him for doing that. And so really it was my own poor driving at this point which led me to be in position number 10. So I was initially in 9 when I was behind those cars, and I kept dropping further and further back, and it seemed to me, yeah, there's not going to be much chance of me catching them up. And then this car number 14 came past me, and I dropped another position, went down to 10. I think eventually I'm at 11 when we get round on this next lap. And unfortunately I was unable to keep up with him. He vanished off into the distance. I'm still not really doing much of a speed here. I've got 1:53 now as my lap, and I'm still making enough mistakes that I've got yet another 2 back markers closing in on me there. See the orange and green car bouncing around in my mirrors there, and it's not long before they close the gap enough to be a threat on me. And of course at this point I'm driving in my mirrors. I really don't want to give up another place. I'm at position 11, which is probably not going to be enough to get a positive I rating. You really need to be position 10 and above to be able to do that. But once you get to 11, well, you start getting a little bit of a negative rating, and the further down you get more negative I rating attached to your race. But unfortunately, coming up the inside here, the green car, he's professionally taking that corner. There's nothing I can do. I don't really want to close the door on him because it was a really good overtake, and I don't race like that. I don't feel that you should just slam the door shut in somebody's face when they come through like that. If they're driving sensibly, you shouldn't wreck them deliberately just because you don't want to lose a place. And I really didn't want to lose a place, but at the same time I didn't want to ruin somebody else's race for just holding on to that one single place. Now you can see the orange car, he did try to get past me there on those last 2 corners, but he couldn't quite find the gap or the room to do it, and so he's fallen back a bit. But he still is a threat to me. But at this point something kind of slightly magical happened. Under the pressure of having this green yellow car in front of me that I don't want to let go because I don't really want to lose the places left, right and centre. I'm already now position number 12, and because I've got this orange car threatening behind me here, I am stepping my game up a little bit, and I am beginning to race with some enthusiasm. Before this, I had a lot of empty track in front of me, and I don't know about you, but when I've got empty track in front of me, I don't race my best. I tend to kind of just twiddle my thumbs a little bit. I know I should be trying to get the best time I can, but it just doesn't work out like that. There's that car sneaked past me. That was the one that skidded off on that corner last time. So he's done well. He's come from skidding off the track to catching me up again. The question is, can he hold on to this place? But I am behind him now, and it's giving me an incentive to drive faster, to drive better, and also, more importantly perhaps, to take a few more chances. So I'm driving harder and more aggressive than I was when I had the track on my own. Several laps later, and I still hadn't overtaken this car in front of me, but I hadn't let him go either. He was still within reach, as was the green and yellow car. Not only that, but remarkably, I'm now doing a 1:52, and I'm kind of secretly pleased with that. I mean, the leader is probably doing like a 1:49 or something like that, and all of the other cars that are in the lead are doing 1:50, so my 1:52 is not really worth anything. But to me, it's a massive improvement on what I can do. And what was special to me about this race was that from this point onwards, I actually managed to consistently race a 1:52. And if you know anything about racing, you know that consistency is important. So although it's important to go fast, and obviously it's important to be the winner, that's very important, actually getting a consistent time is one of the ways that you can improve your driving. Obviously as long as it's fast consistent. If you're doing a 2:04 on this track consistently, then probably that's not much good. But I'm actually now doing 1:52 consistently every single lap, and I'm able to keep myself behind this car, and this car is feeling the pressure. You can see from the way he's going around corners that he can feel me breathing down his neck, and it's uncomfortable for him, and he really is probably looking at me in his mirrors more than he's looking at the road ahead, and a number of times he came off of this corner very wide and went onto the red, so I can imagine that his off-track points were quite high at that point. This settled into a game of cat and mouse, with me trying to catch up with the car in front, trying to find enough speed to get past him. Unfortunately, while I was upping my game and getting in a consistent 1 minute 52, I think he was upping his game as well and getting in a consistent 1 minute 51. So as you can see, he was gradually easing away in front of me. And although I could catch him on the corners, he still came out of those corners with a lot more speed than me, a lot more momentum, and he was able to get away from me quite consistently. The green car, I didn't see what happened to him, whether or not he span off or he just got so far ahead into the distance that he never became anything attainable for me. But either way, it didn't really matter. This car in front of me made my race, really. It gave me an incentive to drive fast and hard, and I got these consistent 1 minute 52 laps, and I was really pleased with this. That sounds odd, I know. I came in 12th and I was really pleased with coming 12th, but yeah, I was really pleased with my performance on the day. I raced a consistent second half, shall we say. The first half I didn't do so well, but the second half I was doing a 152, and I felt that I really had actually raced the race. If we look at Garage 61 analytics software here, which was monitoring my performance, you can see what I mean. Although my fastest lap at 152.160 was lap 6, the laps before and after that were really mediocre. 154s and 155s, 153s mostly. But then once I caught that blue car up, or that blue car rather caught me up at lap 13 and overtook me, I start to do 1 minute 52 in a consistent fashion. And to be frank, I started to have a lot more fun. And if you look at my times, look, 152.2, 152.3, 152.257. Yeah, it's great. I mean, towards the end there I'm tailing off. I'm 152.958. But yes, it's still 152. And I'm really pleased with it. To be honest with you, it gave me renewed hope for this C license series that I was racing. I had, after the first race, begun to think that I was way out of my depth, punching totally above my weight, and in fact wasting my time. But this has given me hope. Yes, I finished 12th. Yes, it wasn't brilliant. Yes, my I rating that I finished on was negative, but I got some consistent lap times. I stayed on the track. I only got penalty points because somebody else hit me. It kind of felt positive. It felt like I'm improving. And that is a good thing for me. As a racer trying to learn the craft, improvement feels great. It really does. Even if it's small and minute and really doesn't matter much to the other people, especially those ones who finished in the other 12 places above me. It felt good to me. And I'm going to take that good feeling into week 3 of the Mazda Cup Series, where we're racing on a totally new track to iRacing. In fact, it was introduced, I think, in Season 3, so it's brand new to 2023 for iRacing. It's, of course, Willow Springs in California, which will be a stark contrast from Austria and the lovely wooded mountains that surround the track there at the Red Bull. Here we will just presumably have quite a lot of desert. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing if I can, at this track, start getting some consistent lap times. I'm not going to worry about what place I'm at. I'm just going to worry about racing the best race I can for me personally. Let's see how that turns out. I'll see you next week. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Click the little bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos.